Hello, everybody. My name is NicholassRivas. I talk about politics and stuff, but today we're going to be talking about the UFC 287. Oh my god, that was a great ass card. So typically I invite a bunch of people, we all eat, make some food. This time it was kind of like a chill thing. We were just putting it on in the back, but I was watching attentively because I knew this was going to be a great card. I didn't want to watch it because I like Jorge, I like Izzy, but I didn't think they were going to make it. Right? I like Alex and I like Gilbert, and if they lost, I would have been sad too. So it was like no one's really winning here, or anyone that I'm rooting for. Overall, great card. It's just been a good year. I think 2022 was a great year. 2021 was an amazing year. 2020 was interesting too. UFC has been going up. But let's just focus on the card. So we'll go with like Izzy first, because that's just I just got to get this off my chest. Israel Adesanya is my favorite fighter. Like, currently in the roster, he's the most entertaining. Even when it's the most boring fights, like, people shitted on him for the fights that he had during his post Marvin Vettori 2 fight. No, post Costa fight. That's where people started just shitting on him and saying he's boring. I think he's interesting. I think he's technical. I like that like kick run kind of strategy, because I think it's just something I can never emulate. Like, he's a lengthy motherfucker with precise precision. Like, he's just a good hit run fighter. I respect Mayweather. Like, when you watch these people, I think, yeah, it's not the most exciting. You're not getting these knockout artist level stuff, but it's interesting. It's needed in this sport. It's needed for any combat sport. I want to see some precision. I want to see some slow pacing. But I'll be the first to admit, not the most exciting, right? I still think it's entertaining, and I still think it's needed, and I still like Israel. And to see him go against Alex, I was like, this guy's going to be the one to take his belt. And I was right. But I did not anticipate him to win in this one. I don't think anyone did. I think we all saw what happened in kickboxing. We all saw what happened in the last fight, and it was close. But he just doesn't have that final momentum. And I was thinking to myself, I was going to bet. I was like, man, Izzy knocks him out. Like, I just kept thinking to myself, Izzy's going to knock him out. But I was like, I didn't trust it. I didn't believe in myself. And I don't think anyone did, right? But he got it. He succeeded, and it's just a great sports moment. Like, now we're going to look back at this and go, damn, like, this is a great rivalry. And people like on the Twitter sphere are just shitting on it, being like, there's better rivalries than this one. I think this is up there. I think this is a top 5. I think you got your DCs versus Jones. I think you got your Tito versus oh my god, I'm blanking. Oh my god, Tito versus who? But you got all these like great rivalries. Colby versus Camaro. Jorge versus Colby. Like, these great, like, there's stories to it. There's even lead up to it. Like, I know Tito, was it Chuck? Oh my god, I think it was Chuck. Yeah, Chuck and Tito. You have Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen. Bisping versus GSP and Luke Rockhold. These like, fights where you're like, oh, this is gonna be good, and especially when they have the legacy. And I think Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira, that this is a fight for the ages. Even though the first 2 fights, to be honest, I watched them, they weren't the most exciting. The second one was really good, obviously, because of the knockout. But this is one of those rivalries that are just gonna stick to people's minds. It's a good ass rivalry. It's a good ass competition. And also, I love the Jones v DC beef. I still watch it till this day, like videos of talking about their beefs. It wasn't close. It was not a close fight. Jones had DC in the first one, and it was closer. But in the second one, it wasn't even close. So I know it's PED Johns, but like, come on. Like, let's be real here. Like, it wasn't close. The Gustafson's fight was good, but it wasn't close, by the second time around. Like, those are good rivalries, but they're put to bed. This was like, oh, there's so much room, and there's still more. Even like the Brandon Morenos and Figgies. I was arguing that even if both guys win, unless it's a knockout, there's going to be that looming cloud of like, they're close. They're so close. So I think it's a great fight. I think it's a great rivalry. I think it's up there. I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't think anyone does. Alex is saying, I guess, amongst the UFC background people, that he's going to move up, and Izzy's echoing that. But it's like, you got to give them another fight, right? They're both 1-1 now. But, I mean, in MMA. In kickboxing, obviously, Alex has that. And Izzy's never going to get away from that. And also, Izzy's getting a lot of hate from, like, shitting on his kid. I thought that was funny. Like, I know it's, like, obviously, like, mean to make fun of kids, but I thought that was the point. Like, we're just being mean-spirited. And, like, it's not like it's out of left field. Like, people were comparing this to the Camaro shit. well, how Kamaro's daughter cried when Leon beat him, but I just thought like, oh, it's just a kid crying. There's no story behind just a random kid. This kid like was in the ring making fun of Izzy, and he just put him in his place. Like I'm sure you guys have seen little annoying kids who, Alex was parading his kid around like in the embedded vlogs. He was making fun of him. Like of course you're gonna be like, if you're not gonna punish your kid, then I'm gonna make fun of you when I beat you. Like it's not that deep. But I've seen people just go because they hate Izzy. They hate Izzy, and I like Izzy. I really respect him. I think he's a lot of cringe, but I think he's entertaining, and I think he's a great fighter. And so I always kind of root for him. But it's hard because he fights these people where like Alex Whitaker. I like them. I want Vittori to win one day to become the first Italian champ. Like there's all these people who I really respect. Jared Cannonier, he fights out of Phoenix. Like I respect the guy. It's hard, man. It's hard to like just not like Izzy, but it's also hard not to like his opponents. The middleweight division is kind of cleaned out by now, but still great champs, still great people, and we'll see what happens with Khamzat Chimaev. I don't think he deserves to be in that weight class. Let's be honest. He got his wins at welterweight. At least let him try to do one more welterweight. I know it's not worth it given his past, but we'll see. So yeah, Izzy fight. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited to see another fight. If he fights Dricus du Plessis, I'm not excited. If he fights Sean Strickland, I'm not excited. I don't think those guys have any sort of wins. Even with Alex, he didn't have any wins, but he at least has that history. Like I don't know. We'll see what happens. Gilbert versus Jorge. I like Jorge. He's entertaining. Yeah, he's cringe. Yeah, he's kind of annoying. Yeah, he's a Trump dick rider. But he's a great fighter, and he puts it all out there, and he's just fun to watch. And he's just an entertaining personality. And watching the embedded vlogs were so fun because of him. And I love Gilbert. Gilbert's my guy. I always look up to him as a jiu-jitsu fan. I just love his jiu-jitsu. As a boxer, he can hit. He can hit good, even though his chin is a little bit weak with jabs. It's funny to see him just rival against these fighters. And like, yeah, Dan Hookers can put him to sleep, but then he like puts a pretty good fight with Kamaru. Like it was a good fight. And I think Gilbert gets a lot of shit given like his Stephen Thompson fights and all that type of stuff. But no different than like a Bilal, I think, just kind of like slow paced fighters who rely on wrestling, but can hit hard, and have good moments. So, I think overall, like great fight. And then when you had, going down the list, you had Adrian Yanez versus Rob Font. I did not call that. I think Rob Font was going to just take hits. I mean, I just seen that Cheeto fight. He can really dish it out, but he just couldn't like reciprocate properly. He was getting destroyed, even though if he had, I think he did have more significant strikes, but he was getting brutalized. I thought the same was going to happen here because Yanez can scrap. But I just think that he fell under pressure and Rob Font capitalized on it. And I think Rob Font, too, is just a better fighter. Like, he was just more precise. He was better at his speed, at his timing, as everything. So I'm not trying to take anything away. I'm actually rooting for Rob, given that he seems like just a really good guy. Just a really good fighter, entertaining fighter. He fights these tough people. It's kind of like the guy who Sean beat, Sugar Sean O'Malley beat. I'm already forgetting his name. But he had the disqualification against. And people were shitting on him. And it's like, dude, he fought some champs. Like he fought former champs and the current champ. God, I'm forgetting his name, but he fought, and so when Rob Font lost, people were just throwing dirt on his name, and I'm like, Dad, he fought some tough motherfuckers. Like, give him a chance to come back. Kevin Holland versus Panzaniba. I can never get his name right. That was just an entertaining fight. I knew Kevin Holland's good. What he did with Stephen Thompson was really dumb. Like, he just wanted to be an entertaining fight. You can do that, man, but you need some wins. You lost to Chimaev. You have to put some wins in your belt. And I think he finally knew that, like, I can still play around and be the crowd pleaser. It's not like he's losing stock, but he does need a win. It's a Gilbert Burns where he's not necessarily losing stock in every fight, but he's definitely not gaining it. And I think Jorge is a lot more severe, given that he had knockout by Kamaru. Kevin is in that boat where he needs to ride that line pretty, smoothly, and I think he can. All that being said, I think he did great. I think he's a good fighter. I think Kevin Holland could be a dangerous opponent at welterweight, and no one's really talking about that, how precise he can be at welterweight, how clever he is at welterweight, and how strong he is at welterweight. So we'll see. He has great grappling. The way he sprawled with Chimaev, beautiful. Kevin Holland is that guy. And then we get Raul Rosas Jr., I think it's pronounced. I'm probably butchering it. I'm already forgetting the other guy. I had my list open and I closed it because I'm an idiot. But I think this was needed. I think this was very much needed. And seeing that he got a little bit humbled, You know, you can't just rely on your grappling. You got to set these things up. You can't just go, you know, Hail Mary. You're not Khabib. Like, Khabib is the only guy who can really do that. Maybe in Islam, but not as good as Khabib. And I think Khabib is one of those rare fighters where he can take a shot from miles away and still get you. So I think it was a well-deserved humble, in my opinion. We'll see him. He's young. He's going to make it. And I think, you know, this is just some great cards. So I'm excited for the next one. We got Cejudo versus Aljo. We got some good fight nights in between. We have the Max fight. But either way, it's some good-ass cards. And I'm eating good. Peace.